All right, so it's the moment we've all been waiting for. We are now going to taste and see that the coffee is good.
Wow.
In a manner of speaking. Is that heretical to say?
No, not at all.
So what you're
If
going to
the
do,
coffee's good.
if
I
the
think-
coffee's good,
yeah,
right,
right,
then it's
right.
not.
I think David's saying enjoy life
I
and
think
see that
he
God's
did,
good. Yeah.
So just a quick logistics. Just remember the bottom third of this is actually coffee ground. So you're not going to dig deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just going to skim off the surface. Okay, get your spoon about a third full.
Okay.
And then the idea here is to make noise. Okay, you want to aspirate,
Yep.
aerate aspirate your palate. So you're gonna, all right.
Well, I'm gonna sound like an idiot after I go, oh, that was good.
So
And he's like,
less.
man, the cinnamon
Little
was
less.
a little less.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Not bad for a rookie. Rookie aspiration.
Definitely the cinnamon more than the chocolate. Ooh, but that's nice.
It's got a nice finish, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We
Bro,
actually get a little.
look at oh my god.
Oh, look,
Perfect.
he's like a pro.
Perfect. He had a rhythm. You see the rhythm in his wrist?
Yeah. It's like a free throw routine.
Pretty gentle up front. That the chocolate starts to show up at the end, and then you get a little bit of that cinnamon.
One of the fun things about cupping is we can taste how each of these is very, very different from the other. So
Man.
Mexico, Tanzania, Costa
Surf and
Rica,
turf.
surf
That's
and
what I
turf
would
right
name
there.
that last one. Surf and turf.
Maybe
right
not the
there.
turf.
Mhm. Yep.
Maybe the guy's surfing on like
A turf board.
yeah, or like
Oh,
some
that's a really
fruit.
bad pun. There you
I was thinking fruit and milk, like
Yeah.
a cereal.
go. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. So, Great Commission. How has that been lived out? Like, how have you experienced it and actually lived it out in your life? So, practical examples.
Yeah, man. Initially, when I became a Christian, I treated it a lot like the sales pitch: get a ticket to heaven,
Yeah.
right? And so, as I thought about, okay, I need to do the Great Commission today, or listen to that command from Jesus, I would just imagine myself just sharing the gospel a lot with this kind of pitch, with the hope that they would make a decision, either pray or receive Jesus or not, and depending on how I was feeling that day, gave the reaction. But over time, I understood that there's much more than that. It's kind of a both and of sharing good news that Jesus is Lord and your life can be radically different and new in Him. And then also helping people understand that His teachings do matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just enough to think Jesus is a good guy and He's got great ideas, but to actually allow His teachings to grab a hold of our life and change our life and become like His disciple, an apprentice of His, right? Someone who learns from Him. And so lately in my life, it's taken much more of that form. If I want to live out the Great Commission, Fredo starts here like this. I need to first be a disciple. I need to be with Jesus. I need to receive His promise that He is with me wherever I go and that He's Lord of my life. And so my everyday life, decisions, relationships are all kind of under Him as Lord. I trust Him. I do my best to allow His words to shape my actions. And then I help other people take that next step too. I help them imagine what it would be like for them to also follow this guy who's alive, who beat death, and to become His student too, to become a disciple too. And so it's more of a long game. You know, you talked about earning the right to share. I think that's so critical, especially in the world today, where we kind of, Christian can mean a lot of things to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sharing the gospel can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. And so playing the long game, understanding the Great Commission like this, God's not in a rush at all.
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, He's invited us to be active, to make decisions every day that lead to that commission of all nations coming to follow Jesus, a reality. And so it does impact everyday life. And
Yeah.
how about for you?
Yeah.
What does it look like practically to be a disciple, make disciples?
Yeah, I think for me, the place that I had to come to was, I probably had a similar introduction to the gospel that you did when I was being trained in how to share it. It felt very much like a presentation. And I even remember the guy saying, yeah, it's like a spiritual thermometer. You're going to stab somebody with it, find out their temperature, and either they're the right temperature or they're not, and you move on. It's like, gosh,
So violent.
That's pretty traumatic. Isn't it?
Evangelicals and our love of violence, man. Stab somebody.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
gosh.
And it didn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
So for me, the question was, first, is there really a God? Oh, there is a God. How do I know that? Well, it's because I experienced Him. And that experience happened through people and through His Word and through prayer. And as that sort of distilled in my own life, I realized, to know God better requires me to obey. It requires me to take another step of faith. Like, it's not a comfortable step. It's not what I want to do in life.
Yeah.
But as I would take a step and share something that God was doing or something that happened with people that didn't know God, it was like, oh, I experienced something I didn't expect. And God revealed a little bit more about who he was, and people were better off, and my life was better off. And it was like that psalm that we talked about, taste and see that the Lord is good.
Yeah.
Oh, when you obey, when you follow his way, my life becomes better. I find out who I am and I fulfill my purpose. Gosh, that's what we're all looking for, is meaning and purpose in life. And so that motivated me. Oh, I want to share with anybody that'll listen. And then I kind of figured out, oh, well, maybe the temperature model is not exactly accurate, but there are ways to kind of figure out if God's at work in someone's life.
Right.
And if God's not at work, it's just not the right time. If they're not interested in hearing in the moment, it's okay. Doesn't mean they're not going to become interested.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't have to have a relationship with them. It means there's timing involved and there's events and people have to. There's an attitude of the heart where people have to be seeking for God, right? That's the scripture. Draw near to God and he draws near to you. And so he may be looking for you, but if you're not looking for him, you're not going to connect. And so for me, I just, in all aspects of my life, started asking people, where are they?
Wow.
What do you believe? What do you live for? What matters to you in the world?
Being curious about people. Yeah,
cultivating this curiosity about what makes a person and who they are. And as I became curious and pulled questions out, it inevitably led to a spiritual conversation. And then I would learn to wait. I don't just share with you. I would wait till somebody asked me, hey, what do you believe? Because now I've been invited in. Now I'm not selling my way in, right? Now I'm not manipulating a conversation. I'm living authentically. And as somebody invites me in, then I can give them the gospel. And when I give the gospel to somebody who's invited me in, I can't think of many people who have walked away and not decided to become part of the kingdom, not given their life to Christ. And so, gosh, I started doing that professionally with patients and others, and saw a lot of people come to faith. And I remember then just telling the Lord, man, I want to share with the world how good you are, because the more I obey, the more I follow Jesus, the better my life is. Man, and he called us to live overseas, and that's why in the beginning of this we talked about we lived in East Africa for a long time and did work and shared the gospel, planted the church, and man, it was an incredible situation. And then I got to come back and I taught at Cal Baptist for a number of years and got to do the same thing with students. You know, there's a lot of students at a Christian school. They don't know God. They don't know who he is. And I could just not be curious and assume they're already on board because they chose to go to a Christian school. But man, the truth is they were there for all kinds of reasons. And it wasn't necessarily because they were following Jesus.
Right.
But man, when somebody asks and you give them the gospel because they asked for it, that means God's at work. And when he's at work, he's doing a thing with the heart, and then life is born. And that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. I love that. And even as we close, I just want to encourage you guys to really receive that word, about cultivating curiosity, finding God at work in this person. Jesus commissioned not just his disciples, but all of us. But he said, remember, I'm with you. Right? So Jesus continues to be at work. This is first his project that he's excited about doing. He invites us into it. And so you don't have to be a pastor to do this. You don't have to work at a church to do this. You can make disciples wherever you're at, in your home, in your relationships, if you're married, if you have kids, with your roommates, with your friends, with coworkers, right? The harvest is plentiful, as Jesus says, right? People everywhere are ready to receive the good news that Jesus is Lord and can save them and make their life radically different. And so,
and he used that other metaphor, not just the harvest is ripe, but he said, come follow me and I will teach you how to learn to fish for people. And fishing for people, I mean, it's a metaphor. If anyone's fished, man, fishing's a skill, isn't it? It's not just throw a hook in the water and you grab a fish. There's all kinds of methods, and some work and some don't. They work in different levels of fruitfulness. Same thing with fishing for people, man. Like, you actually have to find out who the person is. You have to be curious about them. You have to actually care about their life and where the direction they're headed, and want the best for them.
Right. Yeah. So think even now, man, as we close, like think about a person that you want to be moving towards, who you want to share with. You know, I think one of the ways, if we had more time, we'd probably share about the ways that we've gotten better at fulfilling the Great Commission. Sharing is actually just starting it.
Yeah.
Start somewhere with someone, and begin this process. Fumble your way through it. Pray and ask the Spirit of God to come and help you and give you wisdom and discernment where God's at work, and be surprised, be ready to be surprised by how God meets you, and more importantly, opens your eyes to how he's at work in their life. And man, we pray God's blessing over you. Grace and peace. We'll see you soon. I know you'll be back with more of these. Thanks, Nate, for the cupping.
Yeah, come check out Wild Goose. They make fantastic coffee.
Yeah.